I started nomading, and I went to all these places, and I started building these apps, these little websites, these little products to validate. And I remember, I mean, I told the story so many times, but I was following Patrick McKenzie, Patio11 on Hacker News, famous Hacker News guy, and now he works for Stripe. And he would share his revenue on his blog about all his little products he made. And it was like appointment reminder for barbershops, so you got an SMS just before your appointment, so you don't forget it, that kind of stuff. And I was really inspired, like, okay, this is not like some big VC-funded guy. This is just like an indie guy who's just on his laptop kind of building stuff. And I kind of mixed that with the nomad thing, where like building from your laptop, from your backpack, moving around. I think also getting inspired from different places, because if you move around, I know Sam moves around a little bit as well. Your life becomes very unique because you meet different kinds of people. You're in different kinds of places. You see different kinds of products, like in shops. Like if you're in Asia, you see some futuristic shit you don't see in Europe and America. And all that stuff it helps for inspiration for creating products in some indirect ways as well. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be as honest and open as possible, because I don't like this fake corporate stuff. And it's because I studied business administration and I have a master's degree in it. So I know all the management consultancy bullshit. I've been there, I've done that. I know that's where my friends work. I know investment bankers. And I hate that a lot of that world where it's like fake and not real. And I want to be very open and honest. And I think it's also a little bit of a European thing, not to slag off Americans. I love America, but like my thing started when I was blogging, just like you said. I was blogging about like nomading, but I was blogging for my mom. Because back then you had like travel bloggers, like 2013, and I was going to travel kind of and nomad, and I wanted to, every place I went, I wrote a little, how is this city to live in and stuff, and what happened, all the crazy shit that happened to me. And my mom was reading that, but I wrote it in English because my mom is obviously Dutch, but I was like, okay, she can read English, so it's maybe easier to get more traffic and stuff, more audience. But it wasn't like super like a big idea, it just kind of happened. And then those blogs started showing up on Hacker News, and I started writing more about like bootstrapping startups as a nomad in Thailand or something, or in Asia. And those started going on Hacker News really high. And I think that was the time, it was like 2013, 2014. There was the time when I noticed that the developers in San Francisco working for all the startups, they also were realizing, okay, maybe I can start doing this remotely. Because remote work was not cool back then, and nomading was not cool back then. Because you had the Tim Ferriss wave in 2008. It was like the first nomad wave. But there was, I love Tim Ferriss, but there was something about the followers there and the business that were created. They were kind of like shady. There was a lot of shady shit I came across in Asia, in Thailand, like Americans and Europeans. It was like
a lot of brain supplements and shit like
that.
Yes,
dude, yeah. Drug dealers, online drug dealers, and like spam dexing, and like there's still shady shit, but less. And I was like, I really hate this shady shit. I don't feel like part of this scene. I think it would be cool to make it more like, mainstream, like reputable businesses, reputable jobs that do it. So I kept blogging about it, and it kept taking off on Hacker News. And you're right, I think. And then I went on Twitter, and I think I kind of organically, people started following me. And then a lot of people went nomad. A lot of my friends went nomad because I was blogging, and they became my friends now. And then I started all those businesses. But I think it's not like it sounds very like a constructed. No, it's not a master plan. It's very organic. Like I kind of I'm like user zero. I try to build stuff for myself. And I always have I have new ideas. Like there's, just like you said, Red Pill, there's like there's a discongruence in society and what I'm thinking. And most people then think like, okay, there must be something wrong with me. But I think like arrogant, I think there must be something wrong with society. Maybe this is like a new thing. So I'll try and make a little website about it. Like inflation, like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I was tweeting about inflation, like this shit's gonna go crazy with all the Fed printing money. And everyone's like, nah, inflation is fine. Stop whining about it. I'm like, no, I'll just prove you that the real inflation numbers are higher. So I made this inflationchart.com website that shows the inflation numbers are really high. Turned out to be true kind of now. It's not super accurate. I did business, but it's the PE ratio of public companies that are similar in the industry. And I try like sync it to that sometimes. But it completely depends on the multiples that someone's going to pay for it, right? Like, bootstrapping multiples are extremely low. No, I've sold nothing. But I've been in selling processes with previous guests on your podcast, but it kind of bounced off. I have cash flow and my life is nice. But I until recently, I was really until like a few years ago, I was like obsessed by this selling, because you build a startup, like in a movie, like social well, not the movie Social Network, but in the big movies about startups, they're like, oh my God, grow big and then sell and you're a millionaire. But then if you become millionaire yourself with your cash flow, you're like, okay, why does it matter actually? The thing is, most of my revenue is profit. Like the margins are really high, especially remote OK is like, it's like 94% margin, pre-tax. So it's very high. So I'd say 10x. After 10x gets interesting. I think the problems with bootstrap companies, you usually get 3, 4, 5x, profit or revenue next year, which is too low for me. It's like, I might as well wait 3 years or 4 years and just sit in this chair and the sites will probably keep running because they're fully automated and I barely need to work on them. They kind of just keep going. It's like heavily automated, like really heavy. It's just that I won't build new features anymore then. And the site will start looking a little bit old because, design trends change, but generally it will keep running. So it doesn't make sense for me to sell for, 5x or 4x if I might as well wait. And also like Nomad, this is like my baby. So if I sell it, they're gonna fuck it up. I already know because they always do. Like let's say a big remote startup buys it. Okay, I know VC funded remote startups are cool, but they're also going to be bought by big boring companies later, like corporate companies, right? And they're gonna shut this shit down. They're like, and this is my contribution. This is my life's work. It's like legacy. So remote okay, I care less because it's a job board. Job board is not very interesting. But Nomadless is like this whole movement and culture, and there's like tens of thousands of people on there, and my friends are on there, and it's like this work of love, And so yeah, it's hard. It would be hard to sell that because people are gonna fuck it up. I did this presentation in 2015 where I predicted there would be 1 billion remote workers in 2030, and everybody laughed at me. And I was like, even in the comments, like YouTube comments were like, "This is ridiculous. Where's your sources? It's bullshit." And then COVID happened, and it suddenly seems very reasonable. But nobody could have seen this coming, and I had no idea. I was actually kind of like thinking, like, if you look at the chart, it's kind of like it doesn't really go anywhere. And I was like thinking, okay, this is bullshit. Like I tried everything to make it grow, and sometimes it grew and sometimes it didn't. But generally, it wasn't like a VC startup where like music genres, like hip hop, like early hip hop, and I come from electronic music, so drum and bass music. It was my previous career, like music producer. It's the same thing, like EDM taking off in the US in 2009, 2010 with dubstep. That's what broke EDM in US. That kind of stuff. You like these movements, these scenes are almost dead, and then suddenly something happens, like
right,
and it's so unpredictable. You have no clue what's going on. You can only surf it. So I think the metaphor of surfing is very accurate. It's better to surf these waves. In general, I think life, just surf waves. Stop trying to control it. Just surf it, and kind of like pivoting startups into. That's pretty much just surfing, like steering the surfboard over the waves. Because you cannot control the market at all. You cannot control society at all, When I started, I had a YouTube channel for this electronic music I was making and stuff, and I was making like a few $1,000s from YouTube AdSense. So I had some runway, some cash flow to live off of, travel off, and work on mini startups. But it was very fast. It was shrinking because of the competitive, like the copyright claims on YouTube in 2012 and stuff. So it was pretty much becoming like below $1,000 a month. So I had that cash flow, but to go to your question, I think it's a power law. Like you always have a few people in a scene who will make more money or get more successful and stuff. Also, there's a delay effect. I started in 2013 or 2014. This indie scene it wasn't cool until maybe, I think 2018 or something, 2017. So these people that are going into it now, they're just starting kind of, and I think the widget thing is interesting because you said it's only a widget. If you make one feature really well that solves like one problem, you can get some customers and you get some cash flow, and then you can build a second feature and you can slowly scale up to a real business, to a real product toolkit, right? And then I think another thing is you don't see a lot of people with multi-million revenue because they will quickly raise VC. Like once you pass $1 million a year, they will switch to, okay, let's go big. Let's go become a $1 billion company. And I think I'm the exception. I'm like, I don't want to be a $1 billion company. I'm fine like this, kind of chill. And that's why you don't see those people a lot. Because I do know them and they quickly disappear. Like this app we're using now, Riverside, I think is raised VC now, started bootstrapped. And then I think Oprah Winfrey used it. And because it's my friend Nadav, he makes it. He's like, dude, Oprah Winfrey used it. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to raise VC. I'm like, okay, yeah, you should do that. Because they think this could be bigger than just a few million, right? I used to live in hostels, right? In like dorms in 2013. I didn't have money, shared with 6 people, like crazy. Then I started like private rooms in hotels. Then the rooms got a little bit more luxurious because I had more money. And then I started discovering like apartment hotels. And it sounds like bullshit, but it works so well with remote work. So I'm in an apartment hotel right now in Europe on the beach, and there's a kitchen. Apartment hotel is essentially a hotel, so full serviced, furnished, nice interior hotel room, but you also have a kitchen, you have a bedroom, you have a living room, you have a, it's very big. Right. It's pretty much like an Airbnb. I think if you target, it's a high end market, I think, of remote workers that make a lot of money, like 200K or 100K something. If you target them, you can make a lot of money because it's serviced, furnished. Like I'm a software guy. I don't want to own stuff. I don't want to have all this. I don't even want to buy land. I don't even want to buy a house. I want to be able to be a customer of these kind of things, right? But I want it long term. I want to be able to rent for like 6 months, or 12 months even. I want to be guaranteed to stay. I'm heavy in ETFs. I read a blog post by, what's his name? The guy from Google that does SEO. And he's like, I just put everything in ETFs. So Vanguard ETFs, S&P 500. But also I'm heavily invested in Asia because I believe in Asia. I believe in the future. I know the West, there's a lot of things about Asia that are good, but I still think it's very futuristic. And I also invest in crypto. Like I hold Bitcoin and Ethereum. I was always scared to say those things on the podcast, right? But it's all like very secure and stuff. So I spend about like 4 or 5K a month or something. That's it. So most of it is just, I do need to pay tax. But after that, most of it goes to, ETFs and stuff. It's scary to invest now because it's a scary time. But generally, I'm like, I want to do this for 20, 30 years in ETF, invested and stuff. And sometimes stocks, but I did a benchmark. My S&P 500 ETF outperformed all my stock decisions over the last 2 years. So I'm stupid, just like most people. I had a Vanguard ETF China, and then suddenly it disappeared from my broker app, and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And I get this message, they're like, Vanguard left China in March or something, because they were like, this is too crazy. So I had to buy a different ETF. But I still think I should be invested in those markets. And in America, we have a blind spot because we get so much information that's negative about Asia, especially about China. And I'm not a China spy or something. My friends call me China spy because of that. But I think it's a blind spot a little bit in the West. That we're going to miss out on, China is going to be the biggest economy in 2030. I think by GDP, it's already the biggest economy by purchasing power parity or something. Ignoring that, just, because there's a lot of arguments why we should ignore China, but it sounds like a blind spot in the West a little bit to me. I spend my days, like I live with my friends, so my friends are my neighbors now. So I brought all these nomad friends to Portugal and Europe, and we kind of live together. A lot of them are in the city near here, whatever. Everybody's kind of near. So we just have like dinners outside and we cook food and the sunset on the beach and just this nice chill life that I never had because I was always alone in hotel rooms. I had friends, but they were always around the world. And now they're all kind of here. So I mostly do that. So I don't want to do calls about because what am I going to call about? Like I like having calls with you guys. What am I going to call with other people about? Like new business opportunities.
I don't know. Don't you get bored?
No, because I work on my websites, right? I make coffee, open my laptop, meet my friend, and we code a little bit together, make a new feature. Then you go to the gym, we go to sauna, we go swim. They're kind of but that's very recent, right? This kind of chill life. And I don't get bored as long as I ship a little bit on my websites. I don't really get bored. I've seen a lot of people do that lifestyle inflation because I know from corporate, from studying business, I know the management people and stuff, they get paid more and they get golden handcuffs, right? And they can't leave. A lot of my friends are like that. And I don't want that to happen to me. I mean, can't happen to me, but you get what I mean. And I know that material goods don't really make me happy. So I buy a new shirt or something, or I buy a new iPhone. Within 2 weeks, I'm used to it. And there's studies on this. There's research about this stuff. Like if you buy a new car, even if you get married, after 6 months, you're at the same happiness. If you buy a house, after 6 months, same happiness. So if you know that stuff, you know that, okay, you don't really need to spend money so much. You don't need to buy stuff essentially. And generally it will probably make you happier. It makes you focus on the really important things in life for you personally. It must be different for everybody, For me, that's girlfriend, friends, health, food, happiness, all that stuff kind of, and creative work, meaningful work, very important. I need to have something to do in my day. I need to feel like I'm contributing something, like Sam said. And
so what do you own?
So I have a backpack. I have a rolling suitcase though, like a small one. I have clothes. I have a iPhone, MacBook Pro. I have a toothbrush. I have two Stadia controllers, like gamepads. You can use Stadia here. It's kind of cool. Yeah, that's about it, I think. I mean, I have like backup phones and stuff because, two-factor authentication stuff, but it's not. Think about Elon Musk. Every time Elon Musk presents something, you're like, oh, fuck, like, that's so cool. Like, why am I building shitty internet websites? This is my only life I have. I'm going to die. I should do something bigger. But then I have to like bring myself back to like, no, it's cool. You're doing okay. Like, it doesn't really need to be bigger. But I mean, everybody wants to make like space rockets, I guess, but it's just so hard to do that. I think generally people think that every website or app or company they're a customer of, that it's more simple than it actually is, because you can't see behind the hood, and it's actually way more complicated than you think, because there's so many edge cases in every business that you need to code like if statements for, or build like little scripts for, special features. It's much more complicated. And I think people realize that when they start, because people always clone you, right? Like they make a copycat of your website and somehow it doesn't take off because they've been able to copy the outside of it, the aesthetic kind of, but they don't know what's happening under the hood. So it's much more complicated. Like, dude, a job board is much more complicated than you think. Like, how do you explain this? There's so many little parts that, especially companies want. They want, invoices for every little thing they add. The price is dynamic, that kind of stuff. I changed job post pricing based on how many people post jobs on my site, for example. There's so much stuff happening behind the curtains that you don't see. Yeah, it's much more complicated. I also think the misconception about, I sell job post bundles for like $50K via Stripe, which is like amazing to me. Like, I'm like,
how do you do that?
That works. So you make a page called buy bundle, and you have you can go to remoteok.com/buy-bundle, and you'll see like a slider where you can make your own bundle and get a discount based on it. And it's all automated, and you add your credit card and then you pay, $50K or $40K, whatever. Dude, these company cards, this is lagging information. People don't know the company cards have been upgraded, I think, because they're using it for much more these days. Really, like, it's a lot of money. And I have no idea. Like, I never thought, like, I'm not hiring people. I don't know how this works. I just tried, like, okay, maybe, I think companies ask me, like, can we buy a few job posts for in the future? I'm like, okay, I'll make this thing. And a lot of companies use this. So you figure out the features that people want based on talking to them, of course. I think my problem is that it's very hard to meet good salespeople or to find them. And it's unclear for me how I can hire them. And, how can I rate a person to hire them as a good salesperson? I don't know what's a good salesperson. And I've never done outbound, almost never done outreach and stuff. And I'm scared that if I hire salespeople, I need to manage them. And then, they might fuck up. They might start spamming everybody on LinkedIn. And then it becomes like a screenshot thing on Twitter, like, look, Pieter Levels is spamming with his website and stuff. So it might turn bad. And but I think you're right. If you get the right salespeople, it can work. I'd never been able to, find those people. And I also think there's different types of companies. For example, there's companies that ask for a lot of forms, like they want like a W-8 form, like all these US IRS forms and stuff. They want you to sign everything. They want you to sign an NDA. And there's some companies that just, enter their credit card on Stripe and it's done. And it's different customers. And the customers that ask for a lot of questions on email, they generally convert less. For me, they pay less money and they are more of a hassle to, do customer support for and stuff. So you also, you get different types of customers. If you do it all automatic, you get more kind of modern customers that are easier to deal with, I think. I think it's very important to be honest and to show other people that you can build a nice indie company like this by sharing every like ups and downs of it. And instead of, because everybody else is only sharing like the good things and we're growing so fast and we're hiring and we're funded and blah, blah, blah. And I think it would be cool if we did business maybe in a more wholesome way where we, share everything and share the ups and downs and, maybe not grow super, super, super big, but more in a, wholesome manner. I wanted to do YouTube as well. And I have the same problem. Yeah. I'm like, this is going to be a new recurring like activity I need to do every week. I need to upload a video, make a video. Yeah. I think it might be interesting if I just sit in front of the laptop like this and I just tell the stuff I know and I think, and instead of writing it down and just making like little videos. Derek Sivers also did that. He makes little videos about small topics 5 minutes, explain something, and then the next video